Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video. Today we are on the little Vauxhall Combo van with the clutch issue. We're going to get straight to it and try and actually get it done as soon as we can because it's going to take up space on the ramp. So I'm not going to get into it too much. We're going to tackle it immediately, start stripping bits down and get that gearbox out and have a look exactly what we do need. Let's get on with it and get it done. So as you can imagine, it is quite a small space to be working in. Me and Chris have both done our fair share of clutches and would quite confidently do it on our own. But there's just not enough space for us both to get our hands in there. So I was taking the wheels off and he was under here. We took this air pipe off and there's 3 bell housing bolts at the top here. And it made sense to take those out now. We also removed both of those gear linkages out of their little, you can't really see too much, but there's 2 gear linkage cables there. And we got those removed and the slave cylinder as well. We got that unbolted and that's just sitting there aside. We don't actually have to disconnect that, so it shouldn't leak any fluid out. We're now going to lift it up in the air and remove the under trays. Quite nicely there. The starter motor, it was different. I'm not going to lie, it was very different to get off because the second bolt is sort of inside one of the holes on the gearbox. But once we lift the gearbox out, I will show that because it's not something that I've seen before. But bottom ball joints out, drive shafts out, we're pretty much ready now. We're going to move on. We are just going to disconnect the rack end, the steering rack there, just so that we can get a bit more clearance on pulling this out. It does make life a lot easier. We've then got just a couple of bolts left in the bell housing holding that in. So we'll get all that done, we'll get the gearbox out, we'll cut back in and have a look what the actual issue was. We have just pulled the gearbox out and that was very, very tight getting in there. And straight away, you can see it is the release bearing. It's just shattered. Yeah, it's not in good shape, is it?
That's
Someone
lucky.
been trying to wheel spin off the lights there.
No, that's quite lucky though.
Hasn't chewed none of it up, has it?
I don't feel too, there's a little tiny burr on the bottom. But, yeah,
I think
quite
we've been
fortunate there.
We've been very lucky there, haven't we? Let's have a little look under here. Got a torch, how many, Chris? So this is the pressure plate for those of you guys that haven't seen one, and your clutch plate is actually behind that. So we'll be whipping this off anyway and having a good look at that. Well, we'll be changing it. It comes as a 3-piece clutch kit. So that will be getting changed along with that bearing in the gearbox. I'll whip that off and we'll cut back in and have a look how bad the clutch is. So it's quite difficult really to show a lot of the stuff what me and Chris have been doing today. It's so tight in here, and then he was getting there doing a bit and I was getting underneath it and doing a bit. And there's one bolt in particular, I can't get it now because I'm lying down under here, but it was actually, it had been wound in there previously and it had been cross-threaded. And you would have seen me in the time lapse laying down underneath, and it was probably the tightest bolt I've ever had to undo. On this pressure plate, I was going to stick this on time lapse, and I thought, no, you know, I'll actually try and show a bit. I've just took my gloves off, but you've got these 6 star drives here, and I'm going to quickly whip them out. Mind you, it sounds like my battery's going to die on my ratchet, so I thought I'd whip them out on camera and then we can both see the state of the clutch together as well. Nice and quick with this ratchet. I know a lot of you that do follow and watch all the time, you've already heard me say about this ratchet, but for those of you that haven't got one or haven't ever used one, you really don't know what you're missing out on. I will, as usual, put a link for this in the description. Last one, hopefully that's not too noisy on camera as well. Here we go. That doesn't actually look. Oh, it's quite worn that side. But that's not a bad clutch. I mean, you can probably see the thickness of that there. It's definitely not that's failed. It is that bearing. But the flywheel looks okay. I think, Chris, it's safe to say we've had a lucky escape there. I'm just going to unhook the camera and walk around and we'll see what Chris is doing. How are we getting on?
Yeah, centre's alright.
Yeah, it looks alright, doesn't it?
Yeah. That would.
Let's have a look.
That one's a bit. And it's white out. Yeah, I've just took that off.
So that's the worst bit of damage we've got.
Yeah.
Which that does not come as part of a clutch kit. So we are going to have to do a bit of ringing around now and investigate.
Get a new snout.
A new snout, and that's possibly going to stop us in our tracks today. Hopefully not. Let's get on the phone and see if we can find one of them ASAP. Just thought, I don't normally do bits like this. It's not often that we do clutches anymore, but I thought I'd lay out the new one and the old one just to give a bit of an idea of what we are up against and really what the difference is between them. Like I said originally, that was actually still quite thick on there, and the new one is quite similar as well. So I would like to think that that's probably had a clutch in it at some point. They do look slightly different, and you do get this variation in different makes of different products. And this one's a Valio, and I'm not... What the original one is? Yeah, the original clutch is an LUK, and the clutch that's going in it is a Valio. So both really good makes, and this is the bearing here that had obviously shattered. Sorry, I'm holding it in the wrong place. And there's the new one. That is what it should look like. So there's quite a lot missing now, and that is destroyed. And the new pressure plate, again, they do look slightly different, but that is just a different make, and that is the one for it. So luckily I popped round the yard and they had a gearbox out of one of these. It was actually out of a Fiat, and he's just let me nick that out of it, but I've got to replace it. So it just saves us ringing around and trying to get one, because that's going to be a dealer part. So we've got that replaced now. We can get on and start the process of refitting this new clutch. Just quickly before we do crack on, what I probably should have said there in the end of that, when I actually went round the shop a minute ago to collect this from the parts shop, I actually took the old one with me, and I always get them to open it up on the counter and just compare. Even though they look a little bit different and they say they're the same, it is always best to just double check. Just make a few simple checks and you can tell whether it is the right one for the car, because there is some cars that have slight variations. Like you may get two of these vans, one's maybe a 15, one's a 65, and you just don't, they always do have certain variations for cars. So it is always worth taking the old one round there and giving it a check if you have got it out of the vehicle. It just saves, I suppose, doing 2 trips and coming back with the wrong one. Let's get on. That weren't easy. We both broke out in a right sweat there. That was seriously difficult to get that on there, wasn't it? It really was. It's so tight with this little subframe back here, but finally it is back on there. All of the underneath is all bolted back together. We got the gearbox mount on there. That's all pulled home. So we're now going to drop it back down, start doing the repairs. We're going to start putting all the bolts back in the top of the gearbox, and then we'll move on to refitting this hub assembly. Surprising really, after we did get the gearbox in there, it pretty much just goes together very, very quickly. We've got all the mountings back on, all the bell housing bolts are back on. This little tiny hole here is where I was on about, where the starter motor bolt is. And that's something I've not seen before, very, very deep. The other one, the other side was external, and then this one's internal, so round the other way. For those of you that don't know, that is the slave cylinder there. I'm just gonna get Chris to dip the clutch. Go on, mate. And you can see that moving there, and that is what depresses the clutch. That's your clutch arm now, and that's pushing that nice new clutch. I can't wait. Let's try and get it all back together. Chris did drain out all of the gearbox oil. You would have seen there on the time lapse, and it didn't look that bad, but it does smell quite burnt. So we said it is overdue a nice new gearbox oil change while we're doing the clutch. So we've got GSF on their way out with that. That's going to be here shortly, and we get that done as well. Work doing the clutch on that van, and very, very tight under the bonnet. I'll be honest, it looked like there was a lot of room, but that was quite testing, getting that back in there. Very testing. Chris is in there. We're ready to fire it up, and you're going to see it the same time as we are. Yes. Take it out, mate, and have a run up the yard and back. We haven't fitted the front bumper and that back on yet, but if you remember, there was a little dent in that, and there's a little one in the back bumper. So what we'll probably do is there'll be another video on this, a clean up, and when we do that clean up, we'll pop those bumpers out, and then we'll be putting them back on. So I'm well happy with that. So lucky, well not lucky, but really happy that it's all done. And as you can see, it's got quite late on us. We have been on it all day. I'll stop there, let Chris get out in the open, and we'll video it. So glad now we can just get in that and drive it around. It was so awkward pushing it or trying to drive it, starting it up, putting it in gear and then starting it up. It's not good for it, but we only really did that to make sure that there was nothing wrong with the engine. I can't believe we're filming and it looks like the middle of the night, and it's actually about 4:30. We're happy with that. Nice long week for me and Chris, and another video for you tonight. We had it, we done it, so we said, you know what, let's put it out there. Get it out. We do normally only do the videos obviously on a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday, so please don't think that this could be every day. We'd love to do a video for you every day, but it's just, it turns out we managed to get it done, and I thought we're not going to hold it back. We're going to stick it out there for you. So it has got quite late. I need to finish this video, get it uploaded and get it out there for you guys. So as usual, the links for everything's in the description. Instagram, like, subscribe and share. And we'll see you all very, very soon in the next one.